post.
All right, so we've been working on side control escapes for the last couple of weeks, and we're going to look at the reverse base. Previous video, we did like an early escape if we kind of recognize that the person is reaching their arm over our head. Now we're going to look at it, what happens when they settle into the reverse base side control position, and how do we get out from there. So Trey's going to be in top position here. If you could jump onto this side for me, Trey. Thank you. Okay. So Trey gets into this reverse base position, and this arm's going to be above. Yeah, perfect. So this top arm here is between my arm and my head. We'll talk about what happens when Trey actually takes this arm underneath my arm, that kind of like a twister side control position. But Trey's right arm here is blocking my hip on the side of the mat so that I have a hard time getting my knee shield in, all right? And obviously he's going to be like walking his butt up. So I just need to be very cautious of my arms getting too high up and over my head. That's going to be a big problem for me. So what we're going to look to do is come up into a single leg, and then we can kind of talk about some options we have once we do get the single leg. So with Trey in this switch base position, he's going to have a susceptibility of being off balance towards his back. So what I'm going to do is take my hand here. I can either have a forearm underneath his chin, or honestly, in my preference here, I want this on the other side so that as I go to bridge, I can really take his head along with me. So from here, I'm gonna load my legs up. I gotta make sure that I also don't get caught slipping and Trey steps over in the mount as I'm going to bridge. So obviously, as soon as I take my leg off of my thigh here, there's a susceptibility of Trey stepping over in the mount. So I gotta be very cautious. But when I go to bridge, I'm gonna load my arm up and do my bicep punch. So again, I'm not actually punching Trey in the head. I'm just extending my arm up and twisting my thumb out so that I get his head moving back and away. So I bridge and I come up onto my shoulder and I get this big off balance. Once this off balance occurs, Trey's gonna be looking to square up, and I'm gonna take my left arm and slip it underneath. As I slip it underneath, I scissor my legs, catch his near side leg, pull my elbow underneath of me, and I come up into this position here. Now Trey's gonna do a bunch of defensive things. A lot of times this right arm is gonna come around and snag a whizzer, especially if I get really deep in this position here. Now my preference is to connect the hands and kind of wrestle out of this position, but we've got a couple of guard pulling opportunities here as well. My preference here, come up onto my toes, circle around until I can get a nice snag on this leg, and then I can load this up onto my thigh. We'll talk about those in a little bit more detail in some later videos. But let's focus real quick on just the escape. So again, Trey's in this reverse base position here. Again, I have to be very cautious of him stepping into mount. It's gonna be very easy for him to do that in this position. When I see the opportunity, my hand's gonna come around. I'm gonna bridge and get my bicep punch as I come up onto my right shoulder. So bridge, punch, then my left hand comes to my chest, and I circle to my knees. Once again, from here, I prefer to connect my hands together, come up onto my toes, and circle, so I can come around and look to take the back. But again, in that sort of wrestling up, low single position, we have some opportunities to pull half guard, pull single leg X, and things like that. So reverse base, guard retention here, or escape from side control, and we'll talk about what happens when someone gets twister style.